Hello and welcome to the classic Hollywood movie you should know. I'm Nate Washburn. This week the movie is from 1939, The Cat and the Canary, starring Paulette Goddard and Bob Hope, directed by Elliot Nugent. Now this movie gets listed as a horror comedy, but I think of it more as like a suspense comedy because the way that we think of horror in like today's day and age is more, graphic violence and big scares and stuff. And while this movie does have some jump scares and a couple of murders, but it's more of a mystery. You have to sort of figure out what is going on rather than like a straight up horror movie like Frankenstein or Dracula. Now the plot of The Cat and the Canary is that the wealthy eccentric Cyrus Norman has passed away, and he stipulated that his will has to be read 10 years after his death. So the movie begins, it is officially 10 years after Cyrus Norman's death. 6 of his distant relatives all congregate at the old sort of broken down house in the bayous of Louisiana to hear the will being read. And what happens is Joyce Norman, played by Paulette Goddard, she is the one who inherits all of Cyrus's wealth. Now there is a stipulation in the will that if the heir goes crazy or dies within 30 days, then a second heir will be named and that person will inherit all of the wealth. Of course, the group is stuck in this decrepit, creepy mansion overnight. They can't get away because there are no boats. There's a murder. There's an escaped lunatic and a huge mystery about what is happening in this house. Now, Paulette Goddard plays Joyce. She really shines in this movie. She was one of the biggest stars of the 1940s and is somewhat remembered today because she was Charlie Chaplin's leading lady in The Great Dictator and also in Modern Times. And she was Charlie Chaplin's third wife. Now, they were divorced by this point when she was making this movie. And they had a good relationship, an amicable divorce. They were still working together. In fact, she was booked into The Great Dictator. That movie came out in 1940. She was booked into The Great Dictator, but because Chaplin was notorious for delays in filming, he had problems with his script, she was available and Paramount used her in The Cat and the Canary. And they ended up having a big hit movie. The writing is great. It's a really solid mystery in the same vein as like an Agatha Christie, sort of almost like a Hitchcockian suspense film. And Paulette plays Joyce Norman. She's a different kind of heroine than like the typical ones from this era of Hollywood's golden age. She's more in the same vein of like a Bette Davis, where she is a strong, powerful, confident woman who throughout the movie, a lot of the male characters ask her if she needs help or what they can do to help her, and she always dismisses them. She's like, I'm fine, I've got it, you go to bed, don't worry, it's okay. And it shows why she did become one of the biggest stars of the 40s. Now the other actor who's really pretty great in this movie is Bob Hope. What's really kind of funny, his character is named Wally. He is this radio actor, and his whole shtick is that he does have a backbone, he is courageous, yet he makes these comments and these jokes when he's scared that sort of like diffuses the tension in the room. He cuts the tension with a joke. Now this one being early in his career, he actually shows some acting chops, and I found myself thinking several times during this movie that Bob Hope's actually a pretty good actor. Now this film came out in 1939, and 1939 is one of those years that gets listed as one of the greatest years in movie history. You had Gone with the Wind, The Wizard of Oz, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, Goodbye Mr. Chips. So a movie like The Cat and the Canary doesn't get talked about pretty much at all. It didn't get nominated for any Oscars or anything like that, but it was a big hit for Paramount, and they realized that they had a pair of actors in Bob Hope and Paulette Goddard that they had great chemistry, they were charming together, and Paramount united them in 2 more movies. In 1940, they did The Ghost Breakers, and then in 1941, they did a movie called Nothing But the Truth. So if you're a fan of horror comedies, if you like Scream, if you like suspense movies, if you just like mystery movies, give a watch to The Cat and the Canary from 1939. Highly recommend it. It's a great movie to watch during the social distancing era, and it is this week's classic Hollywood movie you should know. I'm Nate Washburn. Keep watching.